you have to somehow, you have to know what power you have. You have to know what power you have, and you need to be very careful and use it properly. And the other thing was my clothes. That was a big thing. And this part's, I think this might be the scariest part out of the entire thing. I know this is going to sound stupid, but like I told you, there was this like ransom thing that seemed to happen whenever. That part was probably the scariest. Later on in the story, you'll hear this other part, which is gross, but I guess it happens over time, right? But this part to me was just horrifying. I'm still in denial about it. We'll talk about that later. And what was I saying? Okay. In the midst of me doing, and again, I said I'm not even going to get into how I did it, bro. I did some crazy ass programming between the Uber and the Lyfts and the people, and the people there in Orange County in that area were very important. And that is, I come to a realization at this moment in time right now that the people around my father, the people around my mother, the people around them were also involved. So it was basically, if you think about it, it was like everybody who was, that I knew, anybody that I had connected to was involved at that point. And that's how powerful this was. Just like when the sun moved, it was like, time had lapsed. And I had a feeling some time lapsed in Florida at the very beginning in those hospitals. When I had an experience of hell, I had a feeling that actually I went to sleep and some time had lapsed too. So this part is really weird. The picture might even be somewhere on one of my phones or something. I don't know. When I tell you, like, there was a guy, and I'm taking my pictures and everything as I always do to keep myself, make sure the records are there, and I'm trying to balance things. I'm trying to balance things out again. And make things Steven. No, seriously. I'm trying to balance things out. Dude, I'm taking a picture, right? And I hear someone running behind me. I take the picture like this, and this guy's wearing the same jacket, dude. He's wearing the same shit. Like he'd been running and he never stopped. I'll never forget that. And I caught him with the one picture. Later on, there was a point where like I still had the perception that those guys who came out of the time portal that had been running forever, the 7 guys, I like to imagine it, and then the one white guy, and then the woman, the spirit of Savannah or something, she was a girl to me in my mind. I also connected with them out there, and it was this thing where I understood my power was just walking. My power was just the recollection that I still have of life and what life used to be. And I did my best to make it what it used to be. I think I did a pretty good job. But I also think there's things I don't know that are really scary and awful. And like that beef between, I later go up to New Jersey, that beef between Bradley Bellinger that was started off in Florida or something, which I think had a big play in this, that never went away. It never went away. And it continued in New Jersey. And there's a part of New Jersey where it's like the Bellinger area. You know what I mean? I come to realize this later. And okay. Now, there comes a point when I perceived a very important thing happened, where my father and this guy down the street were in a relationship, or maybe he was in a relationship with a few people and a few guys. And one of the guys at the beginning of the neighborhood, he was of, I want to say this appropriately, of like Muslim descent, I believe, Islamic. And I also perceived something happened like at the start of this in Brad's house, that there was like a group rape of my mother at something, and all, like being broadcasted on the TV too. Now you need to understand, like I would have killed him right there. I would have murdered him actually, if I knew that that was really what was going on. But I'm weak. I feel bad about what has happened. I'm listening to the TV, making sure that I'm very, doing my best. And I don't know that this is actually happening. And I've actually had many times in the past where I think something's happening and I do something crazy. I end up in jail or something. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, I need to just leave. You know what I mean? Like, but there were a lot of points where it was like the TV was talking to me and stuff, and like guilt tripping me and everything. Using like concepts of my family. And so that's really that point right there, that the idea of something like that happening, like in the VA hospital where my mom worked, or that right there. And I still remember my mom coming home and she said, "I don't hate you," like in this, like, "I don't hate you." And like I could feel the consciousness change. There was a problem with the consciousness and everything. That right there is what drove me to do this, where I wasn't going to stop, and I was going to figure out what happened and find out who was responsible. And it could, I didn't think it was him, but I'd fucking kill that kid for real. So I'm just gonna retract. This guy is seemingly in relationship with my father at this point, and they're deep into the VR realm at this point, and I still remember Brad saying, like looking at me and saying like haram or something. I want to kill that kid right now, to be honest. I'm trying to hold back and just like spit the facts while I'm talking here. There is a point when I perceive like I can hear this happening, and I'm also like I'm fighting it too. Like I'm like trying to like make sure that things go right, because I don't trust anybody at this point. And I understand what I think what happened was they were fighting over like who was going to drive on this adventure they're about to go on, because they were about to like create other realities. And I think I fucked it up, actually. Maybe, I don't know. I think they flipped a coin and they said, we're gonna do, if he goes right, then, you know, like making premonitions, you know what I mean? And or if he goes left, then I'll be the one driving for the whole time. And I think that takes a while, you know what I mean, to travel across the entire earth and like create another reality and everything. It's like a big thing. It's even speaking about it is I feel like an idiot. This guy's glitching out hard as fuck.